Source Network Address Translation, or SNAT, is disabled by default in CloudConnexa, and it can be helpful to keep it disabled for audit purposes or scenarios or solutions such as voice over IP that may not work correctly with SNAT. But Source Network Address Translation, or SNAT, can be helpful in remote access scenarios to simplify routing configuration on a remote site. SNAT modifies the source IP address of outgoing packets. When SNAT is enabled, source IP address of all inbound traffic from CloudConnexa will be set to VPN Gateway IP address. SNAT is used to manage network routing and enhance security. The incoming traffic is translated to the last hop VPN gateway's address. This happens before the traffic reaches the actual client or connector. By doing this, you avoid the need to set up specific routes on the connector for all possible source IP address ranges of incoming traffic. So SNAT helps streamline the process and ensures that incoming traffic is properly routed without complex configuration. It can help to hide internal IP addresses, control traffic flow, and improve security. One more important note I want to make here is that SNAT is helpful in site-to-site configurations where you don't want to configure backward route. And again, you can enable SNAT in CloudConnexa, or you can configure it directly in Network Connector. So if you look at this diagram, we can see our remote workers here would each have their own IP addresses when they connect to CloudConnexa, and our resources are sitting on AWS. So when these remote workers connect to our resources, and if we scan the network, we can see their local IP address, or the CloudConnexa local IP address. But when we enable SNAT on our CloudConnexa, each remote workers, when they connect to CloudConnexa, the IP address that we're going to see on the other side is going to be the gateway IP address, which in our case is going to be 100.96.1.17. So again, some benefits of enabling SNAT. First of all, hides internal IP addresses, making it difficult for external entities to map the network. So let's look at SNAT in action. So as you can see, I'm logged into my admin user interface of our CloudConnexa. If I expand settings and go to WPC, you can see SNAT is disabled. This is by default. So what we're going to do, we're going to connect as a remote user to our resources, one of the resources in our destination or network, and run a network analyzer on our destination as well, on our connector, to see what happens. So first, let's go ahead and connect. Tara is one of our users, and I'm going to go ahead and connect with her. And here we go. Then I'm connected to my connector here on our destination, which is our AWS. This is where our resources are. First thing, let's do an IP address to see what happens. So if I look at here, our ton 1, this is where we're looking at. Our IP address is 100.96.1.18 and the subnet /28. So this is what we have here. Now, if you look at the Connect app, the local private IP address of Tara's machine at this time is 100.96.1.51. So if I run a network analyzer or traffic analyzer on port 80, let's see what happens. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put both screens side to side so we can see. So port 80, let's go ahead and listen on here. Oops, let me change my tunnel here. Here we go. So we're going to listen on port 80, and then we have an app on our destination time card. I'm going to access that app. Here we go. And here we can see that the IP address of our source shows 100.96.1.51, which is our client's IP address or private IP. This is where SNAT is disabled. Now let's go back and enable SNAT and see what happens. So I'm going to go back to my CloudConnexa admin user interface. And let's just stop listening on this port. Here we go. And then we're going to enable SNAT. So let's go ahead, click on edit, enable, update, and confirm. So our SNAT is enabled. If you look at the Connect app, we can see Tara is still connected. The private IP address, here we go, is the same 100.96.1.51. Let's go ahead and listen on that port 80 again on our connector. And we're just going to go refresh this page. And now, if you look at it, we can see that the source IP address shows that 100.96.1.17, which is our gateway. If you remember, when we look at the IP address of our TON1, here it was. This was our IP address with the subnet. Okay, this was a quick introduction on source network address translation and SNAT. Just to summarize, SNAT is helpful in remote access scenarios to simplify routing or routing configuration on a remote site. But at the same time, it can be helpful to disable it for auditing purposes or for scenarios or solutions such as voice over IP that may not work correctly with SNAT. Remember, source network address translation or SNAT modifies the source IP address of outgoing packets. Hope you enjoy this. We'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much.